Hi everyone, today we're hanging out like it is 1977, and when we think of that time, it is so easy to imagine nightlife, disco, glitter, but today we're living all that in the city and taking off for a quiet countryside vacation inspired by this issue of Vogue from August 77. This British Vogue issue calls itself a brown issue and it really commits. So, to match the mood, I'm wearing this satin set I made last summer. Now let's dive into the brown world. Inside the magazine, we see brown outfits, brown makeup, brown accessories, brown cars, and interiors. At some point, you really get the impression that brown was the color of the moment. But honestly, I think Vogue was simply using color as a way to organize the whole issue. It gives everyone a clear direction: editors, stylists, photographers, and advertisers. However, half of the magazine was still printed in black and white. So in this editorial, for example, you are told it is brown, but you basically have to imagine the brown yourself. And apparently not only brown. Take your time and practice your imagination. The pictures that actually pulled me into this world were these cozy rustic DIY interiors and the home cooking recipes. It is interesting how back then Vogue did not think that this was beneath them to publish a recipe for a simple cabbage soup or give advice on how to arrange your country house on a budget. This is probably the warmest and most comforting Vogue issue I've ever seen. It really makes you want to spend a countryside vacation with it. However, we have a very late, cold, and rainy summer this year with occasional sunny hours, and it's always windy on our island. So I actually don't mind hot soup for lunch, even though it's the middle of July. So one large potato, and it's already boiling. I'm gonna use this potato water as my broth. What else? One large onion, one hint of chopped cabbage. Okay, I'm not in the mood to use the converter. Hint or not, this is all the cabbage I have, Vogue. So let's fry it together with the onion. And that's basically all the ingredients. Now we only need to bring them together and let it simmer. This will hopefully become a loaf of rustic bread. And what I want on top of the bread is a popular hippie recipe from that time. First, I stew the vegetables and then blend them together with red beans, oil, and spices. Oh, and we're gonna need some sour cream for the soup. I don't consume dairy, but there's always a way around it, so I'm blending cashews with lemon juice, sunflower oil, and water until it becomes super smooth. Okay, the soup is unbelievably good. I did not expect that because the recipe was suspiciously simple. But this cashew sour cream did a lot of heavy lifting here. This yeastless whole grain bread is very filling. It's chewy because there is almost no air in it, but honestly, with this spread, it works. And the hippie spread is delicious. Bell pepper, onion, and carrots give it sweetness, tomatoes give it sourness. Add your favorite spices, and you're gonna love it. That's a great cooking idea for everyone. Okay, that was a lot of food, so why don't we take a walk? Look what I found, wild strawberries. I just have to be very careful because there are baby snails everywhere. And of course, we cannot hang out like it is 1977 without speaking about the launch of Opium. We might be having a countryside vacation, but we're not spending it under a rock. Because this is where you would have had to hide for all of 77 to miss this scandalous event. It's unbelievable today how strongly people could feel about a perfume. Uh, but they did. And not even so much about the fragrance itself as about the name and the advertising. This new launch from Yves Saint Laurent triggered a full moral panic. to the point that it was prohibited in some countries. But the scandal only created more interest. Long story short, almost 50 years later, opium is still around and has a huge family of descendants, like this black opium over red, for example. And it is as different from the original as kids are different from their grandparents. Same last name, some similar features in appearance, but completely different values and interests in life. The original opium wasn't asking itself, will strangers in the office like me? Or am I too much? Too much was the point. Look at this composition. As I was going through the listed notes, my thought was, okay, is there anything you did not put into it? And here is the note breakdown of this 2024 Black Opium family member with a cherry twist. Next to its granny, it looks almost minimalist. Because today designer perfumes are done to be easily understood, easy to buy as a gift, and easy to recommend when customers walk into the store without a clear idea of what they want. And if one perfume sells well now, a brand takes that formula and makes variations on it, known as flankers. That's how this whole Black Opium family came into existence after the success of Black Opium in 2014. I personally like them all, but do I feel like I want more from this Black Opium family? Honestly, no. I think there are only so many ways you can play with the same formula or the same fashion idea before people start losing interest. So I have a little and probably naive hope that the next year, when the original Opium celebrates its 50th anniversary, the House of Saint Laurent will release some bold and unexpected version of Opium. I personally think we have enough of safe variations now. Please surprise us, not just swap cherry for strawberry. The world needs a new badass designer perfume. A perfume that somebody will be interested to make a video about 50 years from now. And to close this little vacation, there is a quote from Monsieur Yves Saint Laurent that feels strangely relatable even now in the digital age. All I need for my imagination to blend into a space or a landscape is a picture book. I don't feel any need to go there. I have already dreamt about it so much. And I think this creative method is accessible to everyone. A magazine, a recipe, a perfume, a piece of fabric, sometimes that is enough to enter another place or another time. I hope you enjoyed this little countryside vacation. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.